This is Andy Purewal for ID Boxing. I'm joined by trainer Jamie Moore here in Nottingham. A slightly blinded Jamie Moore here in Nottingham, I should add. Jamie, how you doing?
Yeah, all good, mate. You?
All good. And obviously it's your first fight with Gamal Yafai, who I was about to start pointing at, and he's just disappeared as I've done that. Talk about this link-up, Jamie. Where did it all come from?
Yeah. So Gamal approached me about maybe coming over, asking me, if there was any sort of time what I could give him. Obviously, we've been really busy in the gym. So initially, when he first reached out, it was that really busy period for us. And then I said, if depending on when you're looking at, if you just give it a few months, give us a shout back. I've known Gamal for a good 10 years, and he's a lovely kid, nice kid, and he reached back out a few months later. So how does the land lie? And we had a bit of a conversation. He's sort of saying he's coming towards the end of his career now, his last year or two, and he just doesn't want any regrets. He wants to make sure he's always we've always got along, and he always sort of had an idea that he'd like to come and train with us, and here we are.
One thing, and I've spoken to Gamal about this in the past, is when he's in the ring, sometimes he just he gets too involved emotionally, and he just loves to kind of get into a bit of a ruck, and it's something which he's maybe struggled to overcome throughout training and then going into a fight night. Is that something that you've tried to address as he spoke to you about? Listen, when I get into the ring, I go into this zone where I just want to taste blood, effectively.
Yeah, listen, there's loads of fighters like that. Tommy Coyle, for instance, is one what comes to mind straight away. It takes a while to get to the stage where you can even begin to try and tame that, because it's an instinct. It's not a trainable trait, if you understand what I mean. That just comes natural. So of course we spoke about that. We spoke about using his best attributes, making sure his decision making's done at the right times. He's trying to control those emotions or separate them. And sort of when the time comes and you set those opportunities up, then you can sort of slip into that mode. So there are always aspects all tied in. I have been, over the last few years, we've been in these situations where, Carl Frampton, Rocky, to a certain extent, Martin Murray, fighters who were towards the end of the career, and what the stuff you've got to deal with in them situations is you've got a lot of habits what are picked up over years and years, which are difficult to undo. So these certain, I feel when you're training a fighter who's got so much experience as Gamal has and who Carl had and Martin and stuff, you have to pick your battles. You've got to analyse stuff as you go through training camp, and you've got to be brutally honest and go, right, are we going to be able to get that trait out of them? Are we going to get it completely out of them, or do we disguise it and work around it? And sort of, everyone's got flaws, but good fighters are good at disguising the flaws. So, you have to pick your battles, and you have to decide what you're going to be able to work with, what you're not. Use their best attributes to their capabilities, and then any sort of flaws what they've got, you have to try and disguise them. So that's the job we've got with Gamal. He's 32. Is he 32? 32, 33 maybe. So he's no spring chicken, especially for that weight. So yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens on Saturday. But he's been sparring well, he's been performing well, and like I say, because of those stuff what's been inbuilt in him for years, the change didn't happen overnight. But I kept sort of reiterating to him, let's go back and watch when you first came, and then you'll understand. Small changes each week eventually add up to quite big changes at the end of a 3-month, 4-month camp. You're not going to notice changes overnight, and it takes time to get change.
It's weird for me to hear you mention Gamal's age there, Jamie, because the Yafai brothers were some of the first that I actually started interviewing in boxing, so at much earlier stages in their career.
You're older than me now, though, aren't you?
Unfortunately, I've probably aged more than you have in the last few years. You don't seem to age at all, Jamie. But with Saturday night, what does he have to show to deliver on what Eddie said in the press conference that he feels maybe within a couple fights, throw him in at the deep end at world level? If you believe that yourself, what does he have to show on Saturday night?
Well, this isn't an easy fight Saturday, so I don't think he's got in particular show anything special in terms of, I don't think he has to go in there and make a massive statement. If he does, then perfect. But this is a potential banana skin, this fight. He has to go in there and win. And if he wins this fight and wins it well, then rightly so, Eddie gets to move him down the path where we think he should be going. But I like these type of fights for fighters at Gamal's stage, age, experience, because they're not easy. He knows it's not easy. When you give a fighter at his stage easy fights, a lot of the time they take their eye off the ball, they underperform, because you have to have that fear factor a little bit. You have to have nerves, adrenaline, because that brings out the best in you. That fight or flight instinct always brings out the best in people. So knowing you're going to be in a tough fight will make you perform better. So at this time in his career, it should bring out the best in him. And then if he struggles with him, or God forbid he doesn't win this fight, then he has to be honest with himself and go, would I have beat this kid 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah. So where am I going? But the way he's been performing, the way he's been sparring, he's had some great sparring in our gym, and I believe he's going to put in a performance where he makes a statement and goes, yeah, I'm still around, I'm still at that stage. But Saturday night will tell us.
Jamie Whyte from Gamal, always a busy time in the gym for yourself. But before we come on to them, main event, Wood-Lara, divided opinion throughout the week. But which way do you see it going?
Yeah, it's a tough one to call, because both have shown vulnerabilities recently as well. So, and I was looking at the press conference before, see Ben Davison talking about Lee Wood being the puncher in the fight, and obviously he's a big puncher. But I'm sort of on the fence in who's the bigger puncher and who's going to have more sort of impact on the other. Guys, I mean, I think not only will it depend on sort of who lands first and who can sort of get their big shots off first. I think one of the big aspects of it will be who takes the other person's shot that bit better. Because, for instance, if Lee Wood lands big on Lara early and Lara takes it okay and comes through it, then you've got to be then thinking, if Lara starts landing on Wood, is he going to be able to hold it the same? Because Mick Collins is a phenomenal fighter, but he isn't a puncher like Lara, and he had Lee Wood in a lot of trouble. So then you've got to start looking at if Lara can start landing clean, then is it going to go? But does Lara get to that stage? We've seen what happened in his last fight. He got stunned and hurt early on against a non-puncher. So if Lee Wood can land early, then is that going to be game over? So that's why it's a great fight. It's an unbelievable fight. So I really don't know, I don't know who I would pick, because literally I would be saying whoever lands first. If I had to bet on it, I'd probably say, going off the vulnerabilities, I'd say Lara's gonna come out. I think it's going to be a sort of toss a coin, bit of a gunfight, and then I've just got a feeling Lara will come out on top.
Switching back towards your gym, Jamie, obviously we had the big news break earlier this week or last week now. Taylor-Catterall 2 will no longer be going ahead. Instead, we'll be seeing Taylor-Lopez. When those reports first surfaced, Jamie, what did you make of it? I spoke to Jack on the day, but yeah, what were your thoughts?
That was not exactly what happened. It sort of didn't come out like that, did it? It came out as Taylor's injured, so the fight's postponed. And then, so Jack was at the stage then, was, what's the injury? How long's he going to be out? We got told he's not going to be ready, in the next sort of 10, 12 weeks. So it's right, okay, we'll take a fight, which is normal practice. You can't be expected to sit around and wait. And then over the last few days, we've seen that the stuff's come out about Teofimo. But, you know, it's not really rocket science, is it? You know, you look at Josh Taylor's with Top Rank, Teofimo's with Top Rank. Top Rank don't want Josh to fight Jack because obviously what happened in the first fight, they're probably, you know, not mad confident that he'll come out victorious. So, listen, what do you do? Literally, what do you do? There's not a lot you can do if you're Jack Catterall. You can't sit around waiting forever. You know, he's including the wait around for the first shot, which he'd earned, and he waited a long time for it, and then the sort of time what's happened in between the first fight and the second fight, what should have took place, is a year again. He can't hold his career up now, you know. And I'm not saying Josh he's not injured. I know he's injured, and by all accounts, it's quite a serious injury because I've read up about it and I spoke to people about it. So I'm not that confident that he'd sort of be fit and ready to fight Taylor-Lopez anytime soon either. So, and that was the whole reason why Jack said, right, okay, I'll take a fight in between because he can't afford to wait around. So, listen, I had injuries all through the latter part of my career. The second sort of part of the second half of my career, I was riddled with injuries. They're horrible. So I'm not by any stretch of the imagination I'm saying he's not injured. I just don't think them talking about Taylor-Lopez because the WBO have ordered that fight doesn't necessarily mean it's going to take place, because all of a sudden his injury is not going to clear up because it's not Jack Catterall.
WBO ordered it, as you say there, Jamie, but there was reports of the fight being close to being done came before that order came in. Do you think this deal was being worked on in the background?
It's quite an easy fight to make, isn't it? In that sense, there's no politics involved. There's no cross promotion. There's no different TV stations what have got to show it. So a fight like that is easier to make than a fight like Jack and Josh. So it doesn't surprise me, no. Nothing surprises me in the sport anymore.
You've obviously been a man, or one of the men, who's had to try and keep Jack composed and not allow his frustrations to get the best of him throughout this entire scenario with Josh. When I spoke to him, he just said, he wasn't surprised by it. He'd be surprised if Josh even fights again. But there's that level of frustration in there for him because he wanted to settle the score. For you, given how much time you've dedicated to Jack around this entire scenario, are you frustrated yourself?
No, I don't. Honestly, Andy, I'm not just saying this. I don't get frustrated about anything anymore because with experience and time in the sport, like I've had over the years, these things happen. Do you know? And are they annoying? Are they disheartening? Sometimes you get to the stage where you go, "Fucking, what is the point?" But in terms of like that frustrated feeling, I just don't allow myself to feel like that anymore because, the serenity prayer. Accept the things you can't change, the courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You've got to look at it and go, is there actually anything I can do about this situation? And when the answer is no, then what's the point in giving it energy? What is the point?
Do you think that's the end of the Taylor-Catterall rivalry?
I hope not. Because listen, whatever's happened in the past is water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned. But fighters notoriously get to the end of the career and finish with nothing to show for it. And along the way, if you pick up rivalries and world titles, and get yourself to a level where you can earn yourself decent money, and not only that, but everyone wants to leave a mark in the sport. And leaving a mark in the sport means creating a rivalry, being involved in a fight which people talk about, and a topic of conversation in terms of boxing is definitely, over the last year or so, has been Jack v Josh, who won the fight, the scorecards were all wrong, blah, blah, blah. And everyone wanted to see the rematch to see if Josh underperformed or whether Jack was actually as good as he looked on the night. So it's a shame if it doesn't happen again. And, if they sort of just veer off that little path a little bit, and Josh does fight again, and Jack maybe goes on and wins a world title because now the belts are fragmented, then who knows, they might meet 12 months down the line. I think it would be a shame if, after the controversy of the first fight, they never box again.
Jamie, just moving away from that scenario and onto another, but keeping Jack in there, he said to me he wants a Regis Prograis fight. He said that talks have been somewhat they've begun somewhat rather. Can you fill us in as to where things stand on that front?
No, I know, that's all I know. I don't get involved in the politics of it anymore because that in itself adds different stresses. So I just hold the pads and just get on with the training side of it. But he did say, they've reached out, and by all accounts, he's interested in the fight. So that's down to the management teams and the promotional teams to have negotiations and talk it out. I like that fight for Jack. Prograis' a phenomenal fighter, and him and Josh in the World Series final was, you could have split him with a piece of air. You know what I mean? That's how much was in it. It was a close fight. So stylistically, I think it's a great matchup.
Who does Jack want to face then on March 25th? Is he hoping that a deal can be quickly done for Prograis, or is he thinking just a run out basically?
I don't think it's realistic to say, Prograis as a world champion is going to come and box Jack on March 25th. I don't think that's realistic. And in a way, I think that would be disrespectful to Prograis. But certainly within a month or so after that, I mean, Jack's always in the gym, so he's not like he's out of condition ever. So I'm pretty certain that if they can do a deal, then a fight like that could be taking place by the summer.
Moving away from Jack and Josh and Regis and what have you, Chantelle Cameron, what is the latest with her, Jamie?
Shan's in the gym, back in the gym. She spoke to her day, and there's a possibility that she might end up boxing on the 1st of April. We're open, so nothing's set in stone yet, but we're open the 1st of April on the AJ card. So which is great for her. It's a big platform on an AJ bill, and Shan sort of needs that sort of stage, because she, in my eyes, she deserves a Katie Taylor fight. And I think for other people to start pushing and talking about that, if people get to see her on that type of stage, then they'll start to link the two together and start talking about it more often than they are doing now, maybe. So yeah, hopefully that can happen. She can get on the 1st of April. I think she'll definitely be out and around about April, but there is been talks going now to get her on the 1st.
Obviously, just looking at the potential fights there in and around those weights, Taylor's surrounded 2 set now for May. Away from that, Alicia Baumgartner, after she became undisputed champion, said she'd jump up to 140 to face Chantelle if a deal could be agreed. You've got Michaela Mayer as well, amongst others. Who in particular is Chantelle looking at for her next outing? But beyond that, what's there for her?
Well, ultimately, so if you rewind back to when she was a lightweight, before she even fought an eliminator, she wanted to fight Katie not because she has anything against Katie, but Katie is the sort of pinnacle of female professional boxing. She's been an absolute stalwart. She's led the path in many ways for all these women to be coming through and doing what they're doing. So she always wanted to box Katie. Back then, it didn't make sense because I understand Katie probably looked at it. So when Chantelle won an eliminator at lightweight, a final eliminator for the WBC, when Katie was world champion, the thought process, I believe, from Katie's side was, well, why? The risk reward doesn't make sense. Chantelle's a good fighter, but we're not really going to get anything from that. So I understand that, absolutely. But now it makes sense. I know Katie's booked in to box Serrano in Dublin, but imagine Katie boxing Chantelle in Dublin, and with the potential to become a 2-weight undisputed champion, which would be the scenario. They could both, if they wanted, both weigh in at lightweight. As far as I understand, I don't think there's anything stopping them. They both could weigh in at lightweight, and lots of titles could be on the line then. So that's huge. I don't think that's ever been done before. So I think these, of course, those fights you mentioned, Serrano and Baumgartner, they're big fights. But when you're in this sport, you want to fight the very best and test yourself against the very best. And Chantelle just wants to do that. And Katie Taylor's, like I say, she's been a stalwart. She's been the name of women's boxing for many years, and for Chantelle to sort of get that respect off people, she has to box someone like that.
Jamie, once again, moving forward, sticking with Chantelle, you mentioned August 1st, that headline event is Joshua Franklin. What do you make of that for Anthony's comeback on the back of 2 defeats to Alexander Usyk?
April 1st. Yeah, not August 1st.
April 1st, yeah. Did I say August 1st? Oh, April 1st, sorry.
Listen, it's a good fight for him. I think I've believed this, before going back to when he lost to Usyk the first time. I was sort of saying, I don't, stylistically it's all wrong for him. Maybe he should take a little step back, rebuilding process, get with a coach who he knows and he trusts, and then start sort of rebuilding him before he goes back into a fight with Usyk. And I understand why he went straight back into it. But for me, this is a smart move because it'll give us the opportunity to see if AJ's still the type of fighter he was, or what we all sort of fell in love with and grew to admire and respect. Because I believe this fight is going to show us he's still that aggressive, strong, explosive puncher. I think he's going to come out and do a real number on him. I really do.
If he does you're not the only one who said that. A lot of people in the industry have said they expect Anthony to go and do a number on Jermaine Franklin, with no disrespect to Jermaine. But if he was to go and do that, and there's a lot of talk about the Dillian Whyte rematch, does that become a hard sale then? Because Dillian went to points and a lot of people thought Jermaine had maybe nicked it against him.
Not really, because they're both different fighters, aren't they? And, as much as you'd still pick AJ as a favourite going into a rematch with Dillian Whyte, there's a lot of history between those two, and styles make fights. Dylan could very well pose AJ a lot more problems than Franklin could. So I think it's a good thing. The main thing I believe, purely from AJ's point of view, is he's probably I wouldn't say lacking in confidence, but talking about that unrelenting faith in yourself. You need to, every now and again, you need to just remind yourself of what you're capable of. And it's very, very difficult to do against someone like Usyk, who you can barely land a punch on. So for him to pull back a little bit and go in there, and it'd be disrespectful to say this is a confidence-building fight, because Franklin, what would you say, is like top, 15, 20, that sort of level in the world. So he's not high up in the rankings, but he's certainly no mug. And but AJ to go in there and do what we all expect him to do will give him that belief in himself. I've still got what it takes to go in there and do a performance like that, because we haven't seen that for many years with him.
And Jamie, just a final one before I let you go, because your team has just left you without any thought. Joshua and Derrick James, what do you make of that link-up?
Listen, AJ's changed trainers a lot recently, and I understood, and I still to an extent understand why he was doing it. He was going away, picking different people's experiences and educating himself from all different sides. I just feel he needs a bit of structure now, a bit of stability, and someone who he trusts. Someone who knows him inside out. I think that a big part of coaching someone is trust, knowing your fighter inside out. I think he needs. I said this as well when he left Rob. I wasn't really I was one of those saying, yeah, he needs to leave Rob McCracken. I understand if AJ felt he had to go and branch out and learn more stuff, but Rob knows him inside out. And I wouldn't be adverse to him going back to Rob and going, listen, let's finish what we started. I've been off and educated myself, and so not by any means do I think it's a bad matchup. I just think that still it's somebody new who doesn't know AJ inside out, and over time, will he get to know him? Of course he will, but I don't know whether the period of time they'll have in between in a camp is enough to sort of know someone properly. Listen, that remains to be seen, doesn't it?
Right, Jamie, I'll leave it there now. I'll leave you to try and find where the team have gone, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks for speaking to me in ID Boxing.
No worries. Cheers, Anne.